Welcome to Impressions from My Bookshelf. I'm Rick Pidcock, and this is a review of Living Things, Collected Poems, which was written by Anne Porter. It was released in 2006. Anne Porter was born in Massachusetts in 1911, and after college she married a painter and ended up raising 5 children. She pursued writing on the side, and then after her husband died in 1975, she began writing more seriously. She wrote An Altogether Different Language, which was released in 1994 at 83 years old, and was the finalist for the National Book Award. And then her poetry was also put into the Oxford Book of American Poetry in 2006. Living Things is divided into 2 sections, which are called In Another World and An Altogether Different Language. So it contains the approximately 80 poems of An Altogether Different Language, along with 44 new poems that were written to light, to friends and family, and to God. The foreword for this book was a letter that was written by David Shapiro to her, and he says that Anne Porter illumines in a way that makes the humble real, and he calls her a wild experimentalist. He said that she lived in a supernatural world, but that it was sufficient without any miracle. She was a Franciscan, and so she saw the relationality of all things, which led her to quote people outside of her tradition, her religious tradition, such as the great Jewish writer Abraham Joshua Heschel. And David Shapiro said, "Like the greatest painters, you have developed your own light, not behind everything, but in everything." Her poetry has been described as having both a childlike flow and a rugged confidence. She speaks of ordinary things, and yet she speaks of seeing the world as one big surprise. And she talked about a secret praise which burns in every creature. And so, being a mother, she writes about the particularity of a home, and yet of being at home in the wideness of the world. And so, one example, in her poem for Joshua, 1 month old, she says, "Joshua, your hands and fingers are so light and small that when you fall asleep, you rest them on the air. Gravity has no hold on them and has to leave them there." In Winter Twilight, she says, "On a clear winter's evening, the crescent moon and round the squirrel's nest in the bare oak are equal planets." And then in Childhood, she says, "The first time I saw the morning star, I was a small child. 2 years old or 3, I woke up sobbing. My mother came to me, gathered me in her arms, and took me to the window. 'Look,' she said, 'there's the morning star.' I soon gave over crying, for there it was alone in the dawn sky, bright and very beautiful as my mother." Anne Porter is a poet who I can relate to very well as someone who stays home to take care of 5 kids while being married to a painter. My wife does paint, but she's also a designer. And then also as someone who writes in a way that is both cosmic and personal. So I really resonate with her poetry a lot, and I could not recommend it more.